Most niacin side effects are positive if a patient takes niacin to normalize mental function, and as a result of the vitamin activity feels very much better in other areas such as more energy and faster healing, then this is a positive side effect. There are other positive side effects that often occur. For example, if the patient takes niacin to deal with his arthritis and at the same time his cholesterol levels decrease, this result would be a major positive side effect or, better still, side benefit. Niacin lowers C-reactive protein, CRP, one of the markers of inflammation. The statins also lower CRP, but, in contrast to the statins, niacin is not toxic. Is niacin too good to be true? There is a recurrent problem with vitamins being perceived as too useful. Frederick R. Klenner, MD, found vitamin C to be an effective and nearly all-purpose antitoxin, antibiotic, and antiviral. Is it possible to have one vitamin responsible for curing polio, pneumonia, measles, strep, snakebite, and Rocky Mountain spotted fever? Laypeople and professionals alike certainly struggle to wrap their minds around the possibility, especially considering the fact that Klenner also reported success with nearly 4 dozen other diseases. How did he do it? The explanation may be as simple as this: the reason that one nutrient can cure so many different illnesses is because a deficiency of one nutrient can cause many different illnesses. Each year in the United States, well over 100,000 patients in hospitals die from drugs that are properly prescribed and taken as directed. Many estimates are far higher. Leap LL. Institute of Medicine medical error figures are not exaggerated. JAMA, 2000. Joule 5, 284, 1, 95-7, Leap LL. Error in Medicine. JAMA, 1994. Dec 21, 272, 23, 1851-7, Lazaro J, Home Rans BH, Corey PN. Incidence of adverse drug reactions in hospitalized patients, a meta-analysis of prospective studies. JAMA, 1998. APR 15, 279, 15, 1200-5. Annual deaths from all hospital medical errors combined is over 225,000, making them the third largest cause of mortality in the U.S. It is interesting how this fact stays out of the news. Is U.S. health really the best in the world? JAMA. 2000 Joule 26, 284, 4, 483-5. PDF. In sharp contrast, even the number of alleged vitamin deaths per year is less than 1, we assert the true number to be 0. This has led to something of a vitamin public relations problem. When pharmaceuticals are versatile, they are called broad-spectrum and wonder drugs. When vitamins are versatile, they are called faddish and cures in search of a disease. Such a double standard needs to be exposed and opposed at every turn. Seemingly unrelated health problems may indeed be largely caused by a common nutritional deficiency. Treating accordingly was a good idea in the 1950s, when Dr. Hopper was beginning his research. It is just as good today. It is clear that vitamin B3 is a very powerful yet benign substance that is involved in numerous reactions in the body, and which, in larger doses, is therapeutic and preventative for a large number of apparently unrelated diseases. It is highly likely that if any human community increases their population's intake of vitamin B3 by even a few hundred milligrams per day, and to much higher levels in people already suffering from a number of pathological conditions, they will find a substantial decrease in mortality and an increase in longevity. Alzheimer's disease. Increasingly, research evidence makes it more and more plausible that Alzheimer's disease will be treated much more successfully in the near future. However, the obsessive attempts to find that blockbuster drug that will be the magic pill need to stop. Foster, in his recent book What Really Causes Alzheimer's Disease, 20 describes its astonishing descent on our aging population. This is already general knowledge, as few families have not seen it attack one of their members. Alzheimer's disease has traditionally been considered untreatable, except by a few drugs, which at best may slow the degenerative process a little. However, there is growing evidence that it can be prevented by the proper use of nutrients. Specifically, niacin has been demonstrated to have a marvelously protective effect against the development of Alzheimer's disease and cognitive decline. A study of nearly 4,000 people aged 65 and older showed that those with the lowest niacin intake, an average of 12.6 milligrams per day, were 80% more likely to be diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease than those with the highest intake, 22.4 milligrams per day. The rate of cognitive decline was only about half as much among those with the highest niacin intake when compared to those with the lower intake. Since 22.4 milligrams of niacin per day achieves such results, it is reasonable to expect that larger doses are likely to be still more effective. 21 Further support for niacin's support of cognitive function was found in research by Green and co-workers, which found that nicotinamide restored cognition in Alzheimer's disease transgenic mice. 22 We are not suggesting that niacin alone is the answer to Alzheimer's disease. Compelling evidence indicates that early memory loss can be reversed by the ascorbates, vitamin C. Increased risk of Alzheimer's disease has also been linked to low dietary intake of vitamin E and of fish. The elderly should continue to eat well, balanced diets high in calcium, magnesium, selenium, the B vitamins, and essential fatty acids. Foster has argued at length that Alzheimer's disease is caused by an excess of monomeric aluminum in people who are calcium and magnesium deficient. 23. Alzheimer's disease and other conditions, such as repeated little strokes, are aging factors. A recent report from Rush Institute for Healthy Aging and Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Atlanta, concluded, in this prospective study we observed a protective association of niacin against the development of Alzheimer's disease and cognitive decline with normal levels of dietary intake, which could have substantial public health implications for disease prevention if confirmed in further research. 24. This study indicates two things: that a very little niacin goes a long way, and that many of the elderly are not even getting a little. High HDL protects against dementia, according to the 15-year Women's Health Study, in which 4,081 women aged 66 and older were divided into 5 quintiles for HDL levels. The highest group had an HDL level of 73 mg per deciliter, and the lowest 36 mg per deciliter. The women in the highest quintile had 5 times less chance of having cognitive impairment. The only substance that significantly elevates HDL is niacin. The main B vitamin is niacin, but other nutrients are involved in lowering risk for development of Alzheimer's disease. Other B vitamins, vitamin E and vitamin C, when taken together, decrease the incidence of Alzheimer's. Dr. Peter Zandi of Johns Hopkins School of Public Health said that vitamin E and C may offer protection against Alzheimer's disease when taken together in the higher doses available from individual supplements. 25 These nutrients decreased risk by 78%. Essential minerals such as selenium and zinc are also important, as they counteract the accumulation of toxic metals such as aluminum and mercury. Essential fatty acids also play a major role. In short, optimal nutrition will be the most decisive factor in slowing down the ravages of aging. Niacin may inhibit the development of Alzheimer's disease, but unfortunately, I have not found it helpful in treating the condition once it is established. However, about 1/3 of all patients diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease will, at autopsy, not show Alzheimer's typical pathological findings. In these cases, the clinical syndrome is the same, but the causes are different. I suspect that these patients were more apt to have had a series of small strokes. Niacin will be more helpful for patients such as these. Their cholesterol levels may be an important clue. Alzheimer's patients often have elevated cholesterol levels, suggesting that cerebrovascular senile patients will have Alzheimer's disease more often than patients without this condition. There are no plausible clinical claims or reports that patients with Alzheimer's disease ever recover spontaneously. For this reason, double-blind studies would be a waste of time and money, since it is illogical to use this method when a condition has no natural recovery rate. Instead, each clinical report of a recovery must be taken very seriously. During October 2007, Mary, age 73, complained that under stress her memory failed, which made her depressed. She tended to become confused in space, but she was still able to drive her car. Until her memory began to fail, she had been able to deal with stress with little difficulty. She was advised to improve her intake of vitamins, including niacin, 1 gram after each of 3 meals, and minerals, and to eliminate dairy products. 1 month later she was very much better. After 10 months she wrote to express her gratitude for her recovery and said, "Since I started the healing process with vitamins, I have been able to survive in my home when my family had been trying to convince me to sell and move into an apartment. I've lived here 32 years and I love my garden and was able to walk 4 blocks to market. Twice each week I watch my flowers come up and weed my garden. My family refers to Alzheimer's, yet I know I am more aware and confident than I have been for years. If I hadn't had my meeting with you, I'd be in hospital and my house sold. With deep gratitude." The universal rule that all crows are black is no longer a universal rule if one sees a crow that is white. The clinical belief that there can be no recovery from Alzheimer's is equally false. Orthomolecular treatment tries to optimize shelter. In this case it was important for this woman to remain in her home, which had been her shelter for 32 years. I suspect she was more grateful for that than for any other single factor. The program also removed the negative factor, the dairy foods to which she had been reacting for many years. And it allowed her to retain her dignity and demand to be treated with respect and decency by those around her. She did not respond to just one factor. Niacin was only one of the important factors, as a member of a therapeutic team of nutrients. Identical twins are ideal for comparison, controlled trials. In animal studies it is recognized that one identical twin pair is equivalent to 2 groups containing 40 non-related animals. Therefore, what happened to an identical twin pair of women is very instructive. In this case, one twin developed galloping Alzheimer's and died within a few years. Her identical twin sister then started on a comprehensive megavitamin program. She lived another 30 years, mentally normal, and then died of a stroke. If Alzheimer's patients have too little dopamine and therefore too little dopachrome, it would make sense to treat them by giving them safe amounts of L-DOPA and yet protecting them against excessive dopachrome formation. This would include using L-DOPA as if they were Parkinson's cases, combined with at least 3 grams of niacin daily as the 2 main nutrients, with adequate amounts of calcium and magnesium. Magnesium and the elimination of aluminum. Of course, the entire orthomolecular program would be even better.